Ever since I made the comment that there was a new Aleister Crowley in episode 1 of Izzy's World, I have had literally thousands of people asking me who it was. And I don't think that's the right question. Who the new Crowley is not important. We have to understand that this individual is a conduit of ideas and mimetic forces that pierce the psyche on a constant basis. Understanding why something is the way it is much more important than understanding what that something is. So before we get to who the new Crowley is, and we will get there, I want to make it clear, you don't know who this person is. Hundreds have guessed, and nobody has gotten even remotely close. 2 people have mentioned things about this person before, but nobody has pinpointed it to this person being the new Crowley. And before we name them, oh man, I'm so stoked, I need to have a couple disclaimers. This is the listen closely disclaimer. Please listen closely. A lot of times the things that I say get misinterpreted because people are not listening closely. Listening with intent is a sacred act. It requires presence, humility, and the willingness to hear beyond what is on the surface. I'm not just speaking in sound bites. I am transmitting layered esoteric truth that live in between the words that I am speaking. When people don't really listen, they project their own assumptions and miss the deeper frequency of what I am saying. This work is not casual content. It is coded and intentional, and it is meant to activate something ancient within you. If you are not listening closely, you are just misunderstanding me, and you're missing the whole damn point. One more thing I want to say. This is a compliment to this person. I'm not trying to diss this person. I'm not trying to expose. I'm not trying to own this person. This is a compliment. I don't personally like Aleister Crowley. Crowley's teachings don't vibe with me, but Crowley's teachings vibe with a lot of other people. And Crowley was fucking brilliant, whether you like him or not. This person I'm going to be highlighting in this video, I'm extremely impressed by. I love their content. And this video is genuinely a compliment on how influential I think that they are and will continue to be. That being said, I have spoken to this person and they've given me legit really good advice, not pertaining to anything esoteric, but pertaining to just real life things. And this person's been nothing but kind to me. So anyone that's entering this thinking this is like, this person is some evil, weird, crazy person who's like sacrificing things and hurting people, that's not what this is at all. This is a way to define this person's work and to highlight how important I see it and how important I think it's going to be to coming generations and people in general. That being said, here we go. And before we get there, I have to define who Aleister Crowley is, so we know who I'm comparing this person to. Aleister Crowley was an English occultist, poet, mountaineer, and ceremonial magician who founded the spiritual philosophy of Thelema in the early 20th century. He declared himself a prophet of a new aeon, tasked with transmitting the Book of the Law, which is a channeled text he claimed was dictated by a spirit named Awias. His central teaching within his religion of Thelema was "do as thou will, and that shall be the whole of the law," where he emphasized discovering oneself and living in accordance with one's true will. He blended various esoteric and occult teachings, and he modernized ancient esoteric systems for a post-religious world. He played key and monumental roles in multiple secret societies, and he reshaped their rituals and doctrines. His writing on magic laid the foundation for modern Western occultism. He was vilified in his time and branded as the wickedest man in the world, but secretly studied by artist intellectuals and rebels. Crowley's ideas influenced figures like David Bowie, Jimmy Page, Genesis P. Orridge, and tons of modern-day chaos magicians. Today, he's recognized not as just a magician, but as a transformational figure who turned the self into a ritual and the world into a temple. And he has greatly influenced who we're going to be highlighting in this video today. Someone I call the first occultist of the internet. His name is Chris Gabriel, also known as Meme Analysis. Now, there was a part 1 to this video, and I hope that you watched it. If you didn't, you can go back. It's on my Patreon if you want the full thing. And if you didn't, go do that now. If you have, we're going to talk about something we highlighted at the end of the first video, which was Rick Rubin's Tetragrammaton. So in part 1 of this journey, I believe we answered adequately what it is that Rick Rubin does and what his goal is. He is trying to activate the archetypes within us. He's trying to channel universal truth and awaken the divine frequency that is inside of each one of us. But he's needed some help along the way. And where this help comes in is on his Tetragrammaton project that I discussed earlier. Now, this project is multifaceted. It's a podcast, it's a blog. Now, people who write for this blog are occultists. We have Caitlin Cahurst, who's a numerologist, and Molly Hankins, who defines herself as a reality hacker who merges the spiritual with science. We also have Isabel Bucklow, who is in charge of Esoterica in Motion, and Annie Alberts, who is a Jewish magic practitioner and color magic theorist. So everyone who roasts me about my color magic theories, you guys can go fuck yourselves. But one part of this Tetragrammaton, which I described in the previous video as being this project that is aiming to define the multiple sides and shapes of God as creation. One part of this project is defining each and every tarot card, which, if you remember, was a part of the journey of Rick Rubin's artistic journey. And the person that is in charge of this has a name, and his name is Chris Gabriel. Why the tarot is so important is because it is a pictograph of God himself. The archetypes, as I said in the previous video, are shards of God. They are fragmented and simplified iterations of God that even the dumbest people on the planet can understand. I cannot express to you the importance and power of this. And Chris is in charge of explaining each and every single tarot card on Rick Rubin's Tetragrammaton website. He is defining the fragments of God in the simplest way possible. He is recontextualizing and refitting the occult teaching for a new audience. He is modernizing the occult for the age of the internet. Remember in the previous video where I talked about Manly P. Hall and I said what makes an occultist famous is the recontextualizing, the refitting, the redefining of the occult, making it adapt to whatever age we're in? That is what Chris is doing. And he's doing it through his YouTube page, Meme Analysis. So let's dig in. Now, the way in which Rick Rubin has broken down the unconscious barrier of the modern artist, animated their inner archetypes, and put them in the limelight of their music is the genius of Rick Rubin. He is trying to transcend the unconscious barrier and get through down into the spiritual. And Rick Rubin's approach to music isn't just psychological, it's a spiritual excavation. He's trying to pierce through the cluttered psyche, bypass the ego, and reach the deep-rooted archetypes that live in the soul. These are timeless patterns that everyone everywhere already understands, not intellectually, but instinctively, by tapping into them. The music resonates on a mythical, emotional, and cosmic level, and it makes everyone feel good, but it's not just the sound. It's a portal that connects human experience to the divine blueprint that holds us all together. What the creative act does, and what I talk about in the first video, is Rick Rubin recontextualizes the esoteric and refits it onto his aesthetic philosophy. And it's helping people create art. It's helping people to channel, and he's giving us his aesthetic philosophy. Now, I talk about in part one how the refitting and the recontextualizing of the esoteric and of the occult is what makes an occultist famous. This is exactly what Chris Gabriel does. On his channel Meme Analysis, he talks about one of the most fundamental things that connects all of us on the internet every single day: memes. Chris talks about how memes contain the archetypal information and the symbols that make up the blueprint of what connects us all as humans. Just like the way music and radio connected us through the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, the universal archetypes peeked their heads through the music, and we understood these archetypes in a collective and unconscious way. And that is really the brilliance of Rick Rubin, is he was able to bring those archetypes to the forefront of the music, and that's what we connected to. When MTV or music television arose, it added another layer to this, and it was another way way in which the archetypes could sort of tango and dance with our unconscious mind and our souls. But now, this connection isn't through music, television, or radio. It's through social media. It's through memes. Memes are the modernized version of how the archetypes interact with us every single day. Memes are the archetypes reinvigorated. And when you understand that memes really are archetypes, which are shards and fragments of God, as I explained in part 1 of this video, it changes your reality around you, and it changes how things resonate with you. It changes your vibration, and it changes your frequency. And when your frequency is high enough or low enough, it brings you to meeting God or the gods. The key thing that Crowley did was he contextualized and modernized various occult teachings and mystical systems for the 20th century man. He was essentially the Steve Jobs of the modern occult. Through Crowley's writings like Magic in Theory and Practice, Crowley made magic accessible, precise, and testable. He turned magic from superstition into a psycho-spiritual technology. What Crowley did is often defined as follows. He defined magic as the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with one's will. And he described the rituals as psychological machinery to align with the archetypes, to invoke divine forces, and to reshape the self. And that is what Chris Gabriel's YouTube channel, Meme Analysis, literally is. He's defining memes. He's explaining and defining the divine forces that are alive and well within one of the most simple, silly things there is. Aleister Crowley took advantage of print in his day. He wrote books. What Chris Gabriel does is he makes other ways that Chris Gabriel is similar to Crowley is he has created his own mythology. Now, what Gabriel's mythology does is it focuses on how the internet breeds new archetypes, new obsessions, and new psychic forces. Crowley did the same thing. Crowley created a mythology that pulls from various mystical sources. And frankly, it borrowed a lot of biblical themes. This mythology has led to tons of rituals trying to invoke various mythological beings. And what Gabriel has done is he has created a mythology of the internet. And one of the most interesting things about the way this mythology operates is it operates like a Wikipedia page. If you go to Gabriel's website, memeanalysis.com, you can take a test, and this test will lead you through a literal internet maze. And what this test does is it assigns you a role within Gabriel's mythos. It is an interactive mythology, and it takes you through the labyrinth of the internet. Chris's interactive mythology is in and of itself a myth. He's taking the myth of the labyrinth and expounding upon it to where taking the test in and of itself is putting you within the myth. When you're on the internet, you are in his mythos. But I'm going to be honest, if you want the bottom of this iceberg to be truly uncovered, you are going to have to go to my Patreon. Matthew 7:6 says, "Do not give to dogs what is holy. Do not throw your pearls before swine." I'm not calling you swine. I'm not calling anybody anything. But I do think that a lot of this information truly is sacred. And there's a reason this information is not just widely available. The reason that I only posted on Patreon for a year was because I want the people who want this information, who are truly serious about seeking truth, to be the ones that have it. Be there.